Welcome to another edition of Pach-Attack. This week's question from Killer Unleashed. With sales of used games hurting game developers, a premise I don't necessarily accept, do you think they could somehow implement a law so that retailers have to give a percentage of profits to them? The answer is no, not a chance. There is something in our law in the US, and I can't speak to all countries, I apologize. Though I am a lawyer, I'm not expert in 140 different countries' laws. But in the US, there's a law called first use doctrine, and it says that if you pay retail for something, you are allowed to rent it to others. And that is you had the first use, the retailer sold it to you so you could make first use. Any subsequent use is fair game. Think when you go to the beach and you rent a bicycle. I don't think Schwinn goes after the beach rental thing and says we should get a piece of the profits from the bike rental. Think about movies when you go to, may they rest in peace, Blockbuster or Netflix or Redbox and you rent a movie. The movie studios don't ask for a piece. They actually do. They get revenue share on some of that stuff. But they give the retailer terms so they get a better deal. But yeah, if game developers want a piece of subsequent sales, they're going to have to figure out a way to give the retailer an incentive to share. And so far that's codes, putting in these redemption codes in games. So if you want to play online, you pay the $10. There is no way, in the US at least, you will ever get a law that says that GameStop can't sell used games. I don't necessarily accept the premise that used games hurt developers. I'd say more likely used game sales that are proximate in time to a new game release hurt the developer and the publisher. So if Call of Duty's been out a week and GameStop is selling a used copy a week later when somebody's coming in to pay full price, sure, that's a lost sale. But if you're talking about buying Modern Warfare 2 that came out in 2009 used, I doubt Activision's selling very many copies of that right now, and I'll bet there's a whole lot of copies of Modern Warfare 2 that are in the used game bins. I don't think that hurts anybody. In fact, I think that helps because it might convert some new person who just got their 360, who just wants to check out Modern Warfare because they've never played it, might get them to buy Modern Warfare 3 if they really like the experience. So I'm really not certain that that hurts. The other thing is that used games provide currency for people to purchase new games. So if you are that odd GameTrailers TV 13-year-old viewer, you don't have a job, you do have a lot of games, how do you get new games? Well, it's easy to trade in your old ones and you go to GameStop, get credit, buy a new game with that. So I think that encourages the purchase of new games, and I think that helps the publishers. Again, the only way I really see them getting hurt is online multiplayer. They have to support that, or sales that are really close in time to the release of the new game. That certainly cannibalizes sales, but overall I'd say that used game sales are good for the publishers. This week's next question comes from G. Van Gore. Sup, Uncle Pac. Sup. In relation to PC gaming, you guys don't know that I come from the same neighborhood as Snoop Dogg, so I actually know what things like sup mean. In relation to PC gaming, do you think it was a good idea for EA to stop selling their newest products on Steam and only having them available on Origin? With Steam being so popular, surely it would only result in less sales for EA in terms of digital distribution. All right, the answer to that question lies in who owns Steam and who owns Origin. Steam is owned by Valve, great company, and EA gets none of the profit from Steam. Origin is owned by EA, great company, owned completely by the publisher. So EA said, rather than give Valve a cut on Steam, we're going to keep the cut ourselves on Origin. It's a profit deal. Yeah, you're right that if you only sell your games on Origin, fewer people will buy them until you train consumers that Origin is a good place to go to buy games. EA is willing to take a little bit of a hit up front to train you guys over the long run that they're going to be a force in delivering digital distribution, digital copies. So, it's, as I said, a profit deal. Every business in the world, makes trade-offs. They figure out if they have to sacrifice a little profit early to guarantee more profits in the long run. EA has made the decision that Origin is important to them going forward. They're going to support Origin by putting EA titles exclusively on Origin and make sure that Origin is a success. This week's next question comes from Tommy D758. Why doesn't Microsoft have first-party developers in Japan? Question mark. It seems that if they wanted to target Japanese gamers, which they failed, they would get more Japanese-focused exclusive games instead of paying third-party developers for timed exclusives. Tales of Vesperia, Star Ocean, The Last Hope, etc. Big, long question, really simple answer. They wanted to succeed in Japan. They aren't going to succeed in Japan. I have a favorite story, which I believe I've actually told on Pach-Attack before. Bobby Kotick at Activision told me that he visited Japan, and this was around 2001 or 2, and he said that he went into a retailer in Japan and he asked them where his PlayStation 2 games were. And they walked him over to the back of the store, and there was this little section, and there was all the Western games, and there was a sign above it in Japanese, and he said, "What does this sign mean?" And pointing down to the games, and the guide said, "Oh yeah, that says Western dog shit." So that's the problem with the Japanese. They think Western games suck. They think Western consoles suck. They don't want anything to do with it. So I don't know what the Xbox numbers are, Xbox 360 numbers in Japan. It's like 1.5 or 2 million units have sold. Peanuts, maybe it's 3. It's not very many relative to the population. The Japanese market does not like our stuff, so they don't really drive too many American cars. They don't really buy too many American anything products. I mean, they do deal with American software, but they have their own tastes. I don't think Microsoft is going to chase that again, so it didn't work last time. They're not going to do it this time. Thank you, fellow babies, for joining us on this week's Pach-Attack. If you have questions, you can submit them by clicking the link below, or you can submit them to me directly on Twitter @MichaelPachter, and please copy @RohanLikesPants because Rohan selects the questions. Thanks again.